Hi, everybody. This is me doing a follow-up video since my last video after I passed the OMS exam. I just recently took the oral assessment. I took it on October the, I'm sorry, the 20th. So it was last week, Friday. And while I can't give details because of an NDA that I signed about the oral assessment or questions that they asked, I can't give any of that information. I could just tell you that basically I passed the exam. And so it's been a journey, but I basically made it through all of that. So here's a quick wrap up of the timeline for everything that I did. So in April, I think the last week of April, I filled out the narratives and the application and my background resume information through Pearson's View. And I scheduled my exam for May 1st, the OMST, and I passed that. It was probably 2 months after that. So I took the exam May 1st. I think it was after July 4th, not maybe a week or two after July 4th. So it took about 2 months and a half for the qualifications evaluations panel to get back with me, QEP. And so I got that notification. It was like right after the 4th of July. So I got a notification that I passed the QEP. And then some time had went by, and I ended up, no, actually, I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. The middle of July, they asked for my transcripts. So it was like just 2.5 months of silence. And they ended up asking for my transcripts, which is just a normal part of their process, the QEP. So when I gave them my transcripts, it was probably a couple of weeks after that I found out I passed. So it ended up being about 3 months for QEP to let me know that I passed. So I want to say it was like early August when I found out that I passed the QEP. So let me just backtrack just so that you follow me. May 1st, I took the exam. 2.5 months later, after the 4th of July, I was asked for my transcripts. I gave them all that. And then about a couple of weeks to a month after that, early August, I found out that I passed the QEP. And so the next step after that, I ended up getting contacted about a few weeks after that to take the case management exercise. And I had to schedule that. So, and they give you like a month out to schedule it. So like, I got that notification and I scheduled it and I took it the very next day or after the Labor Day weekend. So Labor Day weekend, the very next day after that weekend, I took the case management exercise. And that was a challenge because for some reason, this is crazy because my connectivity was having an issue that day. And I ended up having to reschedule it for the very next day after that to take the exam, to take the case management exercise. So Pearson's View worked with me, and thank God I was able to work through that. But the case management exercise, which is basically, it's a writing exercise. And keep in mind, I'm an OMS candidate. Well, I was a OMS candidate, office management specialist. And so this case management exercise is basically an exercise to test your writing capabilities and your reasoning and, situational judgment, that sort of stuff. You got to basically write a memo based on the scenario that you're given and the course of action that you would take to address, the issue. And you write a memo based on that. They're testing your grammar. They're testing your use of the English language and your reasoning skills and situational judgment, So anyway, I took that. And then after that, it took them about a week or so. They contacted me again to schedule the oral assessment. And so I just took that oral assessment last week, Friday, October 20th. And then that Monday, that very next Monday, I got a notification that I passed, which was really cool. And they show you, basically you need an average of 5.25 on each part of this process in order to pass everything. So you can, as an example, let's say, you know, the scale basically is from 1 to 7. 7 is the highest score, 1 is the lowest. Let's say the online assessment, you got a 7. And then for the oral assessment, you got a 5, below the 5.25 number. And then on another one, you got a 6. I don't know what the average of that is, but if you look at the average of those scores, it needs to be a 5.25, regardless of whether or not you pass each area. So you don't necessarily have to get a minimum score of 5.25 on each area, but your scores has to average out at least 5.25 after you've taken all of the aspects of this, process, and the three things that they're looking at is your online assessment, which is your test that you took, the OMS, your case management exercises, which is that writing exercise that I just told you about, and then the oral assessment. So with all three of those things, your scores need to average 5.25. And when they give you the results, they'll let you know which one of those you've got a minimum of 5.25. So when I got my results, it showed a checkbox in each one of those that I got a minimum of a 5.25 on the online assessment. I got a minimum of 2.5 to 5.25 on the case management exercise, and a 5.25 minimum on the oral assessment. And so those are that's not my actual scores. Those are my minimums that I've gotten each one of those, and that I passed each one of those basically. And then they'll give you your average score. And so it helps also that I am a veteran. So now that I've passed and got those minimum scores, on top of that, I get added points for the registry, which helps because it puts you ahead of folks, when they're looking at selecting people to go on to the training. So it's a process, it's a journey. Anybody else out there looking to take the exam, just prepare for a journey. And I'm still doing that journey, by the way, by passing and getting a conditional offer from the State Department to be in the Foreign Service as an OMS candidate. It's a beginning, it's the end of one process and the beginning of another long process. So, there's clearances involved. So there's a whole nother background investigation that needs to be done on me. And then also there's the medical clearances. And then there's the suitability review. And then you get put on a registry, and it's a waiting game with all of that. Just to make sure that you get to that point. And even once you get on the registry, it's no guarantee that you're going to get selected to move on from there. So it's a process, and I'm not quitting my day job, not yet. And so I wish I would have done this a long time ago. I never heard of the Foreign Service when I was on active duty. I wish I would have prepared for this while I was on active duty and just rolled right into it from active duty. I never heard of the Foreign Service. And my background is perfect for it. You know what I mean? Because I was basically doing Foreign Service as an active duty sailor in the Navy, for years. And anytime an overseas assignment came up, I'd raise my hand and say, here I am, send me. And I was always going. I was always overseas my whole career. I was stationed overseas. So this was perfect for me. This was right up my alley. So I wish I'd had known about it. So look, the sooner you start this process, the sooner you could get it done. I mean, because it's a long process. They're not going to allow you to skip over any parts of the process. It's challenging because I'm going to honestly tell you, after I did that oral assessment, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence that I passed. They asked some really tough questions without going into any details. It was very challenging. Anybody that tells you that it's easy, either they're lying or they're just way smarter than me, and that's possible. So I'm just telling you, for me personally, my experience, that was extremely challenging. And I was really surprised that I passed because I didn't feel good about it at all. I felt like I answered some questions very well, and then I felt like I answered some questions very poorly. I just didn't feel good. But I passed it. So, and particularly, I passed the oral assessment. That's something that I was concerned about. So, I'd encourage you to take it. Start the journey as soon as possible. Don't quit your day job while you do it. You know what I'm saying? I would say that about any government job, because I'm currently a federal employee, but don't look for a federal job while you're unemployed, because it's a long process and it's a challenging one, and there's a lot of folks out there going after the same position that you're applying for. There could be 10,000 other applicants that you're competing with, and they only need one person to fill a position. Okay? So I landed my federal job while I was employed somewhere else. You know what I mean? And just like I'm doing this foreign service process, I got a job while I'm doing that. Okay? Applying for the foreign service. So definitely don't do this if you're unemployed and you need something right away. You do this while you're employed elsewhere, and you keep doing what you're doing until you get a final offer with a date that says you're in the foreign service. Okay? So I'm not there yet, so guess what? I'm still doing my day job, all right? So I'll do another video again, and another follow-up, and just show you where I'm at. Feel free to ask questions, just as long as it doesn't relate to the oral assessment, because I can't give you any information about that due to the NDA that they want you to sign before you do the OA assessment. But yeah, much love, peace to you all, and Godspeed if you're gonna take that test or go down this road. I wish you all the best.